You know, somewhere out there right now, there's a person with $300,000 just sitting in a brokerage account, and they are tossing and turning, literally unable to sleep. And then, somewhere else, there's a person with exactly $12 to their name who is about to totally outbuild them financially. And the crazy part? They're gonna do it in under 10 years. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are breaking down the 4 pillars of wealth from zero. We're looking at fixing the gap, moving from expertise to equity, setting up automated investing, and finally, mastering your mindset. So think about this. If I woke up today with absolute zero, and I don't just mean living paycheck to paycheck, I mean $0, I'm gonna show you the exact sequence I'd use to bounce back. But heads up, here's the catch. The order I'm going to outline is going to feel completely backwards. Actually, almost everyone tries to do this in the totally wrong order, and frankly, it quietly robs them of a decade of their life. We've all seen this timeline, right? It's the standard issue life script. At 18, you go get the degree. At 22, you land the job. Then for the next 30 long years, you supposedly save 15% of your income, and bam, at 65, you get to retire. Well, hopefully before your body just completely gives out on you. Now look, it's not exactly a lie, but it is woefully incomplete. And following this kind of half-baked advice is exactly how really smart, hardworking people end up 60 years old, holding a fancy job title, but staring at a bank account that couldn't even survive a 6-month hiccup.
I really wanted to cut through all that motivational fluff you see online, so we spent time pulling apart the actual, unglamorous strategies used by verifiable operators who built real wealth from absolute zero. We are definitely not talking about gurus selling courses here. We're talking about the real deal. Like a professor who advises billion-dollar corporate boards, a woman quietly building and selling companies in the background that you've probably never even heard of, and a guy who literally turned a tiny, modest monk's stipend into a massive media empire. It all boils down to 4 distinct moves. Let's jump right into the first one.
Okay, before we can actually build anything, we have to destroy something. Specifically, a single word. We have to kill the word rich. Seriously, chasing after being rich is the exact thing keeping most people stuck at zero. Professor and author Scott Galloway hits the nail on the head here. He says, rich is what you can see. Wealth is what you can't see. We've got to stop aiming for what's visible to everyone else. What's super interesting about this is the stark contrast in how these two concepts actually look in real life. Galloway talks about this friend of his who works in mergers and acquisitions at a massive investment bank. The guy makes millions a year. He's got the flashy cars, the expensive watches, the perfect zip code, the whole shebang. But he is drowning in high stress and sleepless nights because his spending basically grew right alongside his massive income. He is definitely rich, but honestly, he's one bad market turn away from total disaster. Now, flip that around. Galloway's own father is in his 90s, living off a basic military pension and some extra cash from a few coin-operated washing machines. But here's the kicker. He spends less than he brings in every single month. That 90-year-old man, he's genuinely wealthy. So it all boils down to this really crucial definition. Wealth is simply the state where the income coming in without your labor is greater than the money going out. That's it. It's not some magical giant number in the sky. It's just a simple relationship between 2 numbers. And listen, if you have $0 right now, the very first thing you have to fix is not your income. Nope. It's this gap. You absolutely must ruthlessly protect the gap between the money coming in and the money going out. And well, this brings us to a kind of uncomfortable truth. If you want to create, say, a $200 a month gap, the absolute fastest way isn't by marching into your boss's office and begging for a raise. It's usually hiding in a decision you are actively avoiding right now. It means finally cutting that expensive subscription, getting out of that oversized car payment, or maybe even downsizing from that apartment that's just, 10% too nice. Do you feel a little ping of resistance when I say that? Because that is the exact moment most people just throw their hands up, quit, and go back to blindly hoping a bigger paycheck will magically swoop in and fix their lives. But hey, once you do secure that gap, you've finally got the raw material for our second pillar, the multiplier. And to really grasp the multiplier, we have to bust a massive myth. I am sure you've heard this statistic tossed around. 90% of startups fail, so don't even bother trying. It is quite literally one of the most repeated and ironically least accurate statistics in all of online finance content. And it's usually shared by someone who has never even attempted to start a business. People just use it as a convenient excuse to justify never taking a swing. So let's snap back to reality for a second. The actual government-tracked figure for all new businesses in the US is that 65% fail by year 10. Now, yeah, don't get me wrong, that is still a pretty brutal number, but it is a far cry from the guaranteed 100% disaster people love to quote at dinner parties. that whole 90% myth, that specifically comes from venture-backed tech unicorns, which is just a completely different game entirely. Starting something is not guaranteed financial suicide, but even still, there is an incredibly smart backdoor way to get into ownership.
The entrepreneur Cody Sanchez coined this absolutely brilliant phrase, expertise to equity. Think about it. Instead of starting completely from scratch and risking everything, you just use the skills you already have to bypass those traditional startup failure rates entirely. This is exactly how you safely trade your way into the game.
The mechanics of making this trade are honestly fascinating. See, the old way is going to a business and basically begging for a guaranteed paycheck. Please hire me. But the new way, the wealth-building way, that's finding a business you actually understand. Maybe it's a local bakery or a service company, and offering them a highly specific skill, like marketing, entirely for free. Wait, hear me out. In exchange for your free work, you ask for a percentage of the new revenue you generate. If you look at it from the owner's perspective, it's a no-brainer. You aren't asking them for cash they don't have, you're just asking for a slice of the upside that they literally wouldn't have gotten without you anyway.
Now, I know exactly what you're probably thinking right now. Working for free, that triggers a deep, deep sense of shame for a lot of folks, mainly because we've all been trained from day one that our worth is strictly equal to our hourly rate. But holding on to that shame is incredibly expensive. Look at the people who build serious wealth. Most of them don't start some massive, risky company. Instead, they quietly accumulate 5 to 10% fractional ownership in other people's companies. And every single month that you let your pride stop you from offering your expertise for equity, you're maintaining a massive, undisputed 100% ownership of absolute zero.
All right, let's keep moving to the third pillar, the automated machine. The personal finance educator Jaspreet Singh gives us the fundamental arithmetic of wealth right here. It's super simple. Income minus your expenses equals your investments plus your savings. This is not some motivational quote to stick on your fridge. This is pure math. Whatever money is left over in that gap we fixed earlier, it has to go to work. If it doesn't, inflation is just sitting there quietly eating it alive in your checking account.
And right here is where a second wave of shame usually hits people. They look at their budget and think, man, I only have $40 left over this week. What is even the point of investing that? Because $40 feels almost insultingly small, they just blow it on takeout that's totally forgotten by Friday. But put that into perspective for a second. Jaspreet Singh's very first stock purchase when he was a teenager, it was a single share of a company and it cost him exactly $2. He started with $2 because he couldn't afford the car he actually wanted. The raw amount you start with doesn't matter initially. The habit of starting is what matters. The actual mechanism that turns those tiny amounts into literal fortunes is, frankly, entirely unglamorous. It usually looks like a standard S&P 500 index fund, purchased automatically the exact second your paycheck hits your account. No obsessively checking the news, absolutely zero trying to time the market, just letting it run uninterrupted for decades. I mean, there's that famous true story of the school janitor who retired with over $1 million. And he didn't do it with a high salary, he did it because he let this boring automatic machine run quietly in the background of his life for 30 years. Consistency is absolutely your greatest asset here.
But okay, here comes the uncomfortable twist. This brings us to our fourth and final pillar, mindset. Have you ever wondered why two people can follow the exact same financial math and end up in totally different places? The podcaster Lewis Howes nails the psychological saboteur right here. He points out that a lot of people grew up subconsciously believing that having money means you must have done something bad to get it. It's wild, but it's true.
Think about it. If you secretly associate wealth with being a bad, greedy person, you will unconsciously sabotage your own gap. You'll suddenly botch your equity negotiations, or you'll conveniently pause your automated investments. The fix for this hidden guilt, it isn't standing in front of a mirror reciting daily affirmations. No way. The fix is actively building evidence through generosity. Every single operator we studied built their solid foundation by offering genuine, valuable skills for free, long before they were ever asked. Lewis Howes himself actually talked his way into doing unpaid airtime just so he could interview people he admired. That kind of raw generosity builds incredible relationships, and it naturally filters out the selfish takers from the true partners who actually want to build wealth alongside you. So let's do a rapid-fire summary of this entire playbook, especially if you are starting from literal zero today. Step 1. Fix the gap between your income and your expenses. That right there is your raw material. Step 2. Trade your real, tangible skills for equity instead of just settling for a paycheck. That becomes your multiplier. Step 3. Automate a perfectly boring percentage of your money into the market every single week. That's your silent background machine. And finally, step 4, check your beliefs. Because honestly, your own hidden guilt will absolutely sabotage those first 3 steps before you even get off the starting line.
Look, I'll be straight with you. None of this is going to make you rich by next month. But all of this, it is guaranteed to make you truly wealthy eventually. We're talking about the kind of wealth that nobody can easily see, and more importantly, wealth that nobody can take away from you just because of one bad year in the market. So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. Which one of these 4 steps are you actively avoiding right now? Because I can almost guarantee, as you were listening to these steps, you felt the little pinch of resistance on at least one of them. Find that resistance, tackle it head on, and you will find your clear path to wealth. Keep exploring these ideas, and I'll see you in the next explainer.